Plot Twisters.
This is a podcast where we take movies and twist the plot to see if we can make them better. And if not, more poetic.
At the moment, we're talking about teen movies from the 80s.
On this episode, Dead Poets Society from 1989.
I'm Emma. Slow down, you phalanx of pubescence.
I'm Anders, and I'm a sweaty-toothed madman.
Hello, Anders.
Hello.
Sweaty tooth madman.
Can you even imagine teeth that sweat?
Kind of can. I kind of can. Somehow.
I guess they're wet normally, so, you know.
That's the one thing I know about teeth is that they're wet. Hi, listeners. Hello.
Hey, friends.
Welcome back. We're very sorry. We had to miss a few episodes, unfortunately.
Sorry.
Because I was a bit poorly, and we're usually very prepared, but that's one of the things you can't prepare for. So, unfortunately, we had to miss a few episodes, but we're back.
We're back.
We're here for you.
Yeah.
We missed you, and we'll never let you down like that again.
Never gonna give you up. Never gonna say goodbye. Never gonna go 4 weeks without a podcast. Never gonna give. Always do a podcast. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. We tried. I did think about doing one by myself for a hot minute.
That could have been good. What would it have been about?
It would have been. I just would have gone back to the Future again. What it would have been probably is me just talking about stuff I like that's cool, and I would have just twisted it all together into a big old scrambled egg of perfection.
I was imagining you doing a review of Back to the Future and saying they're like, and then this bit happens, and it's really cool. No matter what anyone else says, Emma, I know that you said it was stupid, but you're not here, cool. So I'm gonna say it's really good, and everybody here agrees with me, and you're an idiot. Yes, and
what if I had done that thing where I take clips of things that you had said on some episodes and pretended that you were there and just, chopped it up like some sort of a ransom note of a response?
Yeah.
And hey Emma, what do you think about this movie?
Like an AI.
I like it. Did like it. It's very indeed. Indeed.
Feminism. Books. Read Shakespeare.
I just need to boil you
do
down.
You
I am.
Talk funny joke. Ha ha ha. American
And if I had
Pie
done that, it would have been our best episode ever. That's the one that would have won us the potty.
The potty.
The big pod. This is the award for best podcast in a podcast.
In the fiction of this universe that we've created of our podcast, the high school prom moment at the end of the podcast is when we win the potty, right?
Yeah. And the statue that you win the award, it's a pair of headphones on like a golden pair of headphones on top of another pair of headphones. If that makes any sense, that's what it is.
Would it not be a pair of headphones and then each of the, like, what are they called? The cans are then wearing their own headphones?
Exactly. It's a person whose head is headphones, so they're wearing headphones on top of the headphones.
Sure.
If you will.
Yeah. It's a head with two phones.
Correct. Yep.
So we anyway, the point is, we're sorry we've been away and we missed you, and we're back and we have more films. We're not done with the 80s yet. So
no.
We had to come back and finish off this wonderful decade. And what a film to come back to, because today, that's right, we are talking about that film. That one.
Yeah.
It is, of course, Dead Poets Society, starring Robin Wiliams.
Big guns.
Let's just go. I'm gonna count down from 3, and then I think we just both need to do it. Right? We just both need to get it out here and now. Robin Williams impression. You ready?
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
Whoa! Beautiful, Marty. I love the feathers. Would stir Aladdin, so why don't you disagree? I'm in the mood to help you, dude. You ain't never had a friend like me. I'm Mork or Mindy or something. I'm Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Etc.
So Let me give you a short recap of this film. It's about a school, and it's about teens. You know this. We know this. We've been there. We've done that. We're back in our safe space. It's a very prestigious American high school, like a boarding school for boys. They're all super high-powered and very academically focused. It's called Welton Academy, although the boys call it Helton. Ha ha ha.
Because it's like a hell, you know?
Exactly. The main thrust of the movie is that a teacher comes along, played by Robin Wiliams, called John Keating, and essentially tries to disrupt the status quo, disrupt the microcosm of this school via teaching the kids about poetry. He has some unconventional teaching methods. And he also teaches the kids, well, he doesn't teach them about it. He kind of indirectly tells them about something called the Dead Poets Society, which was a society that he was in when he was at school, where their boys would go and they'd go to a cave, they'd talk about poetry, and they talk about how to break away from conformity and break away from being like other people and thinking for themselves, which is a huge theme in this movie. The boys in the school during the time of the movie replicate this. They go and start their own society, and this affects their lives in various ways. One of the boys in particular, Neil, is experiencing a lot of pressure from his parents. They are really tough on him. They're really strict. They want him to become a doctor, and he shows more of an interest in poetry. The inspiration from this teacher kind of lights a fire under him, which encourages him to go and audition to be in a play. He plays Puck in A Midsummer Night's Dream, and once his father finds out, he's really awful to him about it and threatens to take him out of school, which unfortunately eventually leads to Neil shooting himself. This then causes obviously a scandal. The English teacher John Keating is fired, and it all kind of culminates and crescendos into this very kind of famous scene right at the end of the film, where the boys stand on their desks to protest Mr. Keating being fired and leaving, and they say back to him the lines that he said to them towards the beginning of the film, which is a quote from a poem, "Oh Captain, my Captain." And they're doing that to show that they've learnt his lesson, and they're standing up against what they believe to be injustice. And it's a very hard-hitting scene. And I think it's fair to say this film has quite a lasting cultural impact. It's like quoted quite a lot, and a lot of people have a lot of opinions about it. Two of those people are right here in your ears.
We've got them. We have opinions.
Gonna do it. So here we go. I'm gonna do something really unconventional.
Whoa. Are you gonna just get up and leave? Are you gonna stand on your desk and say, "Oh, Captain, my Captain"?
Yeah. No, I'm just gonna talk about a different movie.
Cool.
So The Lion King.
That's how this
The
works.
Lions, great. Love the songs.
Like a
oh, I just can't wait to be king. No.
Circle of life.
No, I'm going to do something even more crazy than that.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm just going to give you my opinions, like, straight away.
Damn.
On this film.
Dang it. I'm in.
So, normally what would happen is I give the recap, and then I kind of sit here, and I tantalizingly hint at what I might think about it, and I make you feel uncomfortable, and then I make you tell me what you think.
And I walk out there on a tightrope, people, and I'm like, "Oh, I think it's good." And then you go, and then what do you think, Emma? And I'm so nervous, and you go, "Well, actually, because this movie was terrible, and you should feel bad." And then I go, "Well, should I?" And you go, "Maybe not." And then we goof around a little bit, and by the end, we're friends again.
We're friends again. And often, if you're listening to our show, you will probably agree with one of us more. I happen to know for a fact, because people who have listened to the podcast have told me, that it is usually my opinions that are the ones that ruffle more feathers.
Yeah, it's
And I
true.
might even go so far to say, as people have come up to me in an accusingly tone and said, "How dare you say that about my favorite movie?"
How dare you? How do you sleep
And
at night?
I've taken that feedback on board, and I've thought about it, and I've listened to it, and that has led us to this point here. You ready?
I'm ready.
I think this movie's overrated.
Take that, people's opinions about stuff.
If you're sitting there right now, you're listening to this episode, you're thinking, Dead Poet Society, I love that movie, it's incredible, Captain Robin Williams, made me cry. I think it's overrated.
Yeah. Hey, do you want to know what I think?
Yeah.
I totally flipping agree.
No, that's not fair. No,
I could pretend it's...
Hey, I was supposed to be different and controversial and thinking for myself.
Yeah. All right, well, let's team up together, and it's you and me. We'll go back to back, and we're fighting off all of these people who are like...
Do I have to stand on my desk? Wait.
Yeah. I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
I'm standing. Wait, one sec.
And it's happening.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not really standing, but I'm definitely like...
I don't really have a desk per se. It's more of like a entertainment unit with a swivel chair. I can't do it. And you know what? I wouldn't do it because it's a health and safety risk. Okay?
Yeah.
Kids shouldn't stand on desks. Should we do okay. I think how do we want to do this? Do we want to like throw out big statements? Or do you want to just go back and forth and say a thing that we thought was kind of not the best about this movie? I
feel like I want to just give a summary straight away. Like, I feel like people are angry, and I just want to give them the headline.
And I'm also sorry. Hey, everybody, pause for a second. If you're thinking, but I love this movie, I know it's fine. We're still friends.
So do I. Like, I still love it.
Yeah, we're still. Everybody's fine. Everything's fine. Just because we don't like it, just because Mommy and Daddy are fighting doesn't mean that we don't love you
anymore. And hey, we're not gonna do anything that affects your life. Everything will stay the same for you. Okay?
Yeah, exactly. You know that big presentation, you're on your way to work right now, and you know that big presentation you have today. You're gonna nail it. Everything will be fine. And don't worry, because somebody will remember to DVR the latest episode of MasterChef: The Professionals. It's gonna be okay.
And he's gonna text you back. He's just busy.
But if he doesn't text you back, it's because he's not worth your time. You're better than this, Dolores.
Dolores, listen. We've known each other a long time.
Oh, so long.
And who knows you better than we do? Nobody.
Remember when we met and you were all down on your luck and we said, come on, Dolores, you're going to find that spark. And then you found $100 on the floor. Do you remember?
Yeah,
you bought everybody chicken wings and we all got drunk. We've been friends ever since.
You know what car Dolores should have?
I don't know. What car should Dolores have?
A DeLorean. A DeLorean.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Here's the thing.
Uh-huh.
I greatly enjoy the movie Dead Poet Society. I would go so far to say I love it. I enjoy watching it immensely.
Uh-huh.
However, I believe that there are some big issues with it that if you want to, you can overlook and still enjoy the film.
Uh-huh.
But that's not what I'm here to do. I'm not here to idly passively view a film and go, that was great. And if you want to do that, and you want to do that with this movie, I support you. Go for it. I have done that myself many times with many movies, including this one. The first time I saw this movie, it absolutely blew my mind.
Were you like a teenager though?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right.
Of course.
Yeah.
And it was made for me at that time. I was the audience for this when I saw it.
Yep.
However, you are listening to a movie podcast, and we are here to analyze it, and so that's what I'm going to do.
Do it.
First thing, I think that a big flaw of this movie is also one of its biggest strengths, which is that Robin Williams was playing John Keating. And part of the reason is because I think that by the end of the film, I don't believe that the students love his message. I believe they love him, because he's a fantastic actor. He's very lovable, and the character is so compelling. But the whole point of the Dead Poets Society is about challenging ideas, and it's about thought, and it's about thinking for yourself, and by the end of it they all just love him and they just want to do what he wants. And there's even a point where one of the characters says, I thought that was what you wanted, and then he says, no, I didn't want that. And it's like, so you're not really teaching him to think for himself, you're just teaching him what you think. And it's so, and but I'm not saying that that's definitively the read, and that's like, it's just, I think it comes across that way, and I think you are, as a viewer, caught up in the passion and the execution of that final moment, which is so fantastic. However, he created the Dead Poets Society, John Keating did, or he was part of it, when it was about a conversation between ideas, and the boys who replicate it kind of, they don't do it in the same way. It's much more about conversation than it is about it's more about hanging out than it is about appreciating art.
Totally. It's like Woodstock versus Woodstock 99. Am I right?
Sure. Absolutely.
It's the same thing. Minus all the burning and the riots.
Yeah. So that's my first thing.
Do you want to know my first thing? You're not going to like it. You're not going to like it at all. And in fact, I'm pretty sure this is where we think we're both on the same page and the same team. And then I say a thing and you're like, oh, no, I think a different thing. All right. You know, guys, like, I get it, right? You got a cool teacher who's a bit different, who the first time you met him, he whistled and said, like, come on, let's go look at some old photos of people and seize the day and all that stuff. He's different. Different teachers are fun sometimes. And I like that part. But the thing I didn't quite like, and I'm going to be real with you people, maybe it's because I don't like poetry or whatever, but like, I am not going to go sneak out of the school and climb in and go like hike into the woods so I can hang out with a bunch of dudes and read poems. And then like, they went from, wow, this teacher's a bit different, to, should we go on that 5-mile misty midnight hike to read books? But like, and I just really don't like that. I never liked that. It felt a bit like they went from, wow, this teacher's different, to, I guess we're going to be stinky cave poets now. And I didn't like that. And I don't want to do that.
You are correct. We do disagree on that point, because I would
you loved it so much.
100% do that.
I knew you would. But I was watching this movie and I was like, they're not really going to go into the woods and go read poems, huh? And even when they got there, they were like, we don't really get this. Other than Tawanda or whatever, you know. Not Tawanda. What was the one guy when he changes his name? And he's like,
no wonder.
You know,
no
some of
wonder.
them super got it, and some of them, this is the thing, and you like try to. This is why I said Woodstock. It's like when you try to recreate a thing that some cooler people in the past did, but you don't really get it, and you're just sort of doing it because it's cool, but not doing it because you're really because you're trying to, you know, change in the world. You're just, you know, hanging out, smoking cigars in a cave. I didn't like that part.
That is funny because it's just a very you thing to say, and I love it.
I know. I'm sorry, everybody. You know,
never be sorry for being you.
Well, sometimes I have to be sorry for being me, because I am a bit much for some people to handle.
Oh, don't worry. Yeah, we're both a bit much. We're actually a bit much for each other, and that's really.
I know, right? If you and I were charcuterie boards, we would be the whole table. You know? And people would walk in and go, dang, there's things I like here. But like, we're
too
much.
Yeah, I could eat, but I don't really feel like any of this.
But the amount of tzatziki on this table is making me tzatziki. You know what I mean?
Oh, God.
And falafel, if you will. You do talk now.
I like the poems.
Yeah.
I am a one of those. I am a arty, feely, thinky, reflecty, poety person. I mean, actually, to be honest with you, like poetry, out of prose, drama, and poetry, poetry is probably my least favorite.
Yeah.
Because I think I think it can be the least accessible. I think the people who get it, and the people who don't get it really don't get it. and that is a weakness of the art form. I know that some people are going to find that annoying, but if you're finding that annoying, that's probably because you like poetry, okay?
Although if you were to sit on a chair backwards and take the poem and rap it to me, you would get my attention.
Yeah.
You would get my, I get it now. Shakespeare was just a rap guy, you know?
So what you're saying is if you took Dylan Thomas and turned it into Bob Dylan, then
from Dylan
to
Dylan.
That's a reference to a pretty old episode at this point, surely.
Yeah,
that was
sure. A long time ago.
What was that film? Dangerous Minds.
Dangerous Minds, which is another movie in this whole category of like totally inspirational. People don't get my out their ways teaching style, right?
Yeah.
Which is a whole genre, I guess. You take Dangerous Minds and you take Finding Forrester and you take what's the other Robin Williams movie with this wicked smart guys who are good at math?
Yeah, Good Will Hunting.
Right? I didn't even realize that. Robin Williams is like the same guy, sort of. It's like an older version of the same guy. Inspirational teacher guy with weird methods. And even School of Rock is the same, if you think about it.
As we've previously discussed in a previous episode, School of Rock is the best possible version of this film.
Yes!
Just a bit much. It's and I think, like I said, this is all with the preface that I love it, and I am coming from a standpoint of everything that's good about this movie. I probably don't need to tell you because you've seen it and you know it.
Yeah.
But I think that it was the fact that the poetry was used more for kind of what's the word, like aplomb and movement and feeling and effect than it was really understood and sort of practiced.
You want a movie literally just about poetry that just is talking more about
I'd love
poetry?
a documentary exploring the work of Walt Whitman. No, I think like it became so much about this character of John Keating, but he didn't feel like a character. We don't really know anything about him. And like when you read when you see the his yearbook, it says like he was captain of the football team and he did all of this stuff. And it was like, okay, well, he told us that the impression he gives when he first comes in, he says something like, "Oh, I was like nothing. I was a youthful boy, and and now I love poetry." And then what we read about him in his yearbook is completely different. And he comes in and he says these snippets of poems, but we never really get to understand who he is. So it feels like he is more just a vision of what we would imagine a fantastic, interesting teacher to be like, rather than this is an actual living, breathing human who is flawed and we can really get stuck into, you know?
Is that like the whole point? I mean, is this movie made... This is like that Catcher in the Rye thing. It's like it's made for people who are teenagers because what teenagers want is a teacher that's cool because teachers are lame, you know? And all of a sudden, here's a teacher who's cool, and it doesn't actually matter to the teenager, their backstory, because it isn't about the teacher. It's about what that teacher helps the kids, like, you know, be able to do or whatever. Rip up your book. Oh my gosh, really? Not my book. You're not supposed to. Stand on your desk. This doesn't feel right, but this teacher is getting to me because, you know, he's unconventional ways or whatever.
Yes, and I think there is, you know, if you're looking at a teenage audience, there is a simultaneous thirst for exploration and finding individuality, finding identity, experimentation, breaking out of what you have been raised, the breaking out of the mold you've been raised in and rebelling.
Yeah.
But there is also but there's also a desire that I think this film taps into so strongly to feel like there are grown-ups who get it and they know what they're doing.
Yep. And
that reassurance that if you think all your teachers are wrong, it's just because they're stupid and wrong. But there are people out there who do know that they're right. The system just who are in the right. The system just doesn't accept them or treat them correctly. So you just have to wait for the people who know what they're doing. And so whilst like that, I think that instinct is very pervasive and sometimes useful, it's also can be problematic. You know, like you could look at this a completely different way than you're supposed to and think, yeah, do you know what, John Keating actually is quite a neglectful teacher, and he has caused some serious ripples within his students that he hasn't had the he hasn't been responsible enough to follow up on. I mean, I think that would be a really harsh and difficult to defend read, but you could say that, and then you could also say, you know, he is somewhat using this class of boys to try and fight against a system that he clearly disagrees with because he was a previous student. So is he just, you know, taking this group and recklessly messing with them so that he can make a point, you know?
Why does he even teach there? Right?
Well, yeah.
Mr. Keating, you didn't like the school when you were there. You come right in and you talk about how you don't agree with the school's rules. You're calling your colleagues cynics. You're bucking the rule. Hey, you're an employee. And I'm not saying, like, let's just think about it. You're an employee of this school. There's apparently, I mean, there must be a code of conduct and, like, there are rules. And you've decided to take a job here and then immediately break all those rules. Why? I'll never know. Right? But, like, it just blows my mind because if you think about, and I know there's some bad stuff happened, and one of the students does take their own life, and I feel that's a tough subject. I don't want to go all into that because we don't know the ins and outs of that family. Although to be said, you know, at the end of the day, hey, dude, you're about to graduate high school, so like, just leave the house, go do whatever you want. You could be an actor if you want, but instead, it's you know, complicated. But why does Mr. Keating, why does he work at this high school? He should go work at the other high school that has the drama club.
Yeah, and
right?
Exactly, this is what I mean. It's like, it's so easy to think it's because he has found a calling and wants to grip it and rip it, kind of go and help some people because of the experience that he has. But like I said, you could also say it's a personal mission that he feels like he just wants to go and fix something that was broken in his past.
Right.
So, and so much of the reason why I don't think you would read that character negatively is because of Robin Williams.
Because it's Robin Williams. What if he's a creep? What if he's a creepy guy?
Imagine it was like Steve Buscemi playing that
I
role.
was going to say Steve Buscemi. And I don't know why, and I feel bad.
It's our go-to. It's our go-to. Oh no!
But like, who's amazing, by the way?
Steve.
He is amazing.
Yeah,
Can you imagine if it was Steve Buscemi playing Mr. Keating? It would be a different vibe.
If he didn't have the force of personality and the lovableness and the emotional heart that Robin Williams has, then yeah, you could definitely read this very differently. I think actually, since you mentioned it, I do think that is another potential flaw of this movie. As you said, it's a very difficult one to talk about, so I'll just say it briefly. But I think the fact that Neil's story ends the way it does feels a little bit token to me, and it feels like it's slightly over egging the pudding. It's like it's designed to be really painful and hurtful, and yeah, I don't know.
I know people find it. I know that there are people who find themselves thinking life will never be different. But the thing is, man, like life, you know that phrase. I heard a song recently that was like, you know how people say life is short. You know, it's not.
It's the longest thing any of us will ever experience.
It's pretty long.
But I think it's important. I think it's important to not think of. He is just a character. It is just a construction. It was a writer's choice to make that happen. You know, I think if we start trying to understand like the motivations of that character, I think that's a tricky road to go down. Yeah. Not only because we will never truly understand why people do the things they do, but it was a writer's choice to make that an event in the storyline to move the plot forward.
Yeah.
And I don't think it just didn't feel right to me. It didn't feel like it was done.
He should have just they should have just shipped him off to military school.
Yes, because that would have been just as tragic.
Just as bad.
Like, well, maybe not just as tragic.
Well,
within the context of the story, that would have, I think, had the necessary amount of tragedy.
Correct.
You know, for it to feel, because I think that what happens to Neil is a thing that writers can use because it's irreversible and it's a guaranteed hard-hitting emotional moment. And I don't agree with using it as, oh, we want to make people cry at this point, so let's throw this in. I think you have to be more responsible than that.
Right. Oh, you want to be an actor? Oh, your dad doesn't like it? Well, here's what happened in this movie. Here's a question. You know the play that Neil's in, the Midsummer Night's Dream, right? Did they choose that on purpose, do you think? Because you know about Big Quill Bill. Did they choose that one for sure?
If there's one of his plays I know about, it's Midsummer Night's Dream.
Did you ever do that one?
Oh, yes, many times.
Did you play Puck?
No, I've actually done it twice, and I once played Helena, which is one of the four lovers, and then I also got to play Titania, which was fantastic because she's the fairy queen. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
Was it linked? I mean, did they just? Do you think that the writer chose that play in for specifics?
I think there probably could have been a better choice of play, personally.
Romeo plus Juliet.
Well, I mean, everyone chooses that. But I think, Midsummer Night's Dream is it's my favourite Shakespeare play. So
nice.
If anyone wants a Shakespeare play to go see that one because it's fantastic.
Yeah.
There is a lot of there's a lot of meta stuff in Midsummer Night's Dream. There's a play within a play, and then arguably the play itself is a play within a play, and there's a lot of magic and there's spells. So I think possibly the choice of that play is to evoke fantasy, magic. If you're trying to show somebody sort of enchanted with performance, then that's a good one to use. And Puck is a narrator character, so it's a bridge between the audience and the drama. So I think if you have a character like that, and if you're trying to say that Neil is I wouldn't cast him as Puck personally, but if he's playing that character, I'd cast him as Lysander if you're interested.
I am.
If you cast a character like that, it's almost like I guess you could say it's showing that he's become under the spell of the theatre. You know, he's been entranced. That maybe could be why they chose the play, I would say.
All right, fair enough. Nice. That was pretty. I remember thinking, oh, nice. Yeah, this is a classy movie. They're doing a Shakespeare thing as well.
Oh yeah, it's always. Well, that's the other thing, isn't it? Just throw a bunch of poetry and Shakespeare in your play and it instantly feels classy. Go on.
I was just going to say, do you think Robin Williams did this movie in 1989 because he wanted to prove to people, like, I'm not just this funny guy, right?
No, maybe.
And do you think it worked? I wonder if it worked.
Because well, he did go on to do Good Will Hunting, so. Yeah,
but he also went on to do, Aladdin, like, a couple of years later, and also, like... what's the one with Mrs. Doubtfire, Have you ever seen Insomnia? Yeah, it's great.
So good. He is so good in that. Listeners, if you haven't seen it, watch it.
Dude, it's so good.
Yeah.
That's the one. Hang on. No, which one is Insomnia? I might be thinking of 24-Hour Photo.
Insomnia's got Al Pacino in it, and he plays a detective. And
and it's never
Alaska,
dark. Yes,
it's never dark.
so
yeah,
good.
It's always night.
So good.
No, it's always day.
Always daytime. Yeah. Do you ever see Death to Smoochie? That was also very good.
Yeah,
he did some dark, weird movies.
Yeah.
Because
I feel like we should say maybe reinforce some of the good stuff about this movie because I really don't want people to walk away mad at us for not liking it.
There's a couple of ding-dongs talking about all the stuff that was bad about a movie that they both said they also liked.
Yes.
All right, what'd you like about it?
Well, I am a romantic at heart, and I love I love the message of thinking independently, obviously, and how, you know, that quote, which is like, the powerful play goes on and you may contribute a verse. What will your verse be? That really stuck with me when I was a teenager, obviously. And it's something I really stand by. I love that idea. And I love when a movie has an idea that it's exploring like that, or an ethos. I think the scene where they tear out the pages is great, but specifically the fact that he shows that diagram about poetry and says, you know, it's greatness and what's the other one? It's importance
and greatness. Importance, and it's like the one,
and perfection, how perfect it is.
How perfect it is, and how important it is. And
then he you know, you have somebody who's writing that down, and then he says, I think that's excrement. And I just, it like I said, there are things you can criticize about that scene, but the effect that it has, if you're engaged with the film, is huge. It's a really powerful moment, as is obviously the very famous scene at the end. You know, it's like, it's one of those things where, as I said at the start, if you're choosing not to find fault, it has a massive impact. And I think the impact that it has is the right one. I think it gets its message across. I think it has the effect on you that it's intended to have. I think it encourages you to try and appreciate life more, to seize the day a bit more, to think about things more critically, to try and think for yourself. I think it does all those things. I don't think it's a perfect movie, but I do think it gets you thinking, and that's what I want. As I said before, I want a movie that makes me think. So
I just want movies to make me feel good, and you know, and sometimes teach me something I didn't know about the world. You know what I liked about this movie? I did like the whole thing. I do wish I had a teacher in high school, and I had some Robin Williams types. I had some Mr. Keating types. In fact, I had a couple of teachers in high school that I think would say this is their number one movie, probably, I bet, because they did, you know, things that was a bit like, you know, I had a teacher one time when we were learning about a movie. What was that? Or about a book. We read the book One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, you know? So there's like one chapter in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and this teacher was like really out there, where they go to the beach, right? We all came into school that day after reading that chapter, and he had opened all the windows in the classroom and had fish and sun cream like everywhere, so the room smelled like the beach, you know? Just to nail the point of that, and then like contrasted it later, and that was all, you know, it was nice. I like that scene when he's down there and he's all like, see all these people? They're all like, they were kids like you, and now they're all dead. Gather ye rosebuds while ye may. Right? Very powerful stuff that a bunch of kids would not understand, probably. And while I did just say life is long, because it is, it's also very short, because, you know, it could be both of those things. And I like that message. Maybe being a little bit older now, I really appreciated that message of like, do it. Get out there, gather those flippin' rosebuds and make your mark, because you're running out of time. This movie made me feel a bit, not sad, but energized to complete missions, because life is fleeting. And then I think they then made that point really salient, albeit sad, with the you know the what happened in the movie. It's like, dude, get out there and get some, because we're not here for long, and one of you won't be here for the end of the movie. You know, right? And at the same time, it's like, you know, the main thing I liked about, and the other main thing I think I liked about this movie, and we said it already, is like, Robin Williams was such an amazing actor that like any Robin Williams movie, it's pretty good. He was really good. Those are the things I liked about it. Get out there, get some, and Robin Williams.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's what we're going to do right now.
Get some! We're going to Robin it up, Williams style.
Yeah. And by some, I mean a new twist on this movie. And by get, I mean make up a. Yeah. So we're going to go do that.
Cool.
I guess we'll see you there.
See you there. Be there or be square. Or be there if you are square, and I'm fine with that. Be there whoever you are, because we're all welcome. Hey friends. You know how podcasts grow? Well, the hosts just either keep talking and talking so the episodes are longer and longer, or, failing that, people who like that podcast tell other people. We would super love it if you would tell a friend, or even better, somebody you're not sure if you're friends with yet, but you think you might become friends over time, about our podcast. And then you could look back and be like, my BFF Janet? We connected over podcasts, specifically Plot Twisters Pod. Share it, become friends with a stranger. We'll see you in real life very, very soon. Love you. Bye. You got any ideas?
Jinx. No, we didn't say the same thing. We just spoke at the same time.
Well, let's try it again. Fish sticks on
Sandwiches.
the veranda.
Fish sticks on the veranda.
Bring me a bottle of tartar sauce.
Sitting on a Friday.
Crispy on the outside, gooey on the inside. Fish sticks on the veranda.
There are many ways we could take this, and some of them are really obvious. We could make it so that the teacher's bad instead of good. We can make it so the girls instead of boys. We can make it that they're not all poor, like they're not all super privileged.
Right,
they're all not that. There are many obvious things.
Yeah. I mean, those are all the other versions of this movie that we've already seen. That's Dangerous Minds. That's the School of Rock. That's, although to be fair, the first thing I thought when I watched this movie was, what if Mr. Keating was a bad teacher? But like, that's too obvious. You got a deeper cut in you?
I think I have. It's here. Ready?
Ready. I'm ready.
Got it.
Yep.
It's coming. Just hold on to your seat and brace yourselves, because any minute now,
when you hear the phrase brace,
then that's when when it's there, which is the take that I've got, which is coming, and it's this.
You either have it or you don't. I'm not sure.
No, I have it.
I'm not sure.
I have it.
Okay, all right.
Don't
you're either circling the block
looking
for the best parking space, or you are not sure what store you're going to. You know what I mean?
No, I know. I do know it.
All right.
But before I tell everyone what it is,
Yes.
I want to know if you've thought of the same thing that I've thought of. So why don't you tell me what you thought of?
No. I've fallen for that trap so many times. I already told you. My instinct was bad teacher. Make him a good mentor. That, or it's the Robin Williams like metaverse, and all the different Robin Williams, inhabit the same school. You know what I mean? And they have to pretend that they're all
the
Mr.
teachers
Keating.
are Robin Williams, but none of them are characters. They're just all Robin Williams.
They're all Robin Williams, and it's a bit much. And they have to keep one of them's they're the characters. One of them is a Doubtfire. One of them is a genie from Aladdin. One of them is Mork or Mindy. The script writes itself. Who do you remember? You got to be an inspirational teacher. Okay, I don't remember how to be this teacher. Oh, Captain, my Captain. I got it. And then he goes out and he does it, That's my Robin.
Have you ever seen Flubber? Flubber is so good.
Flubber's great.
Flubber's great. Okay, I think I do. No, I do. I do actually have a thing. I did have one the whole time. I wasn't stalling it at all.
I know. You've always got one in the bag. Two in the bush.
It's not. Well, at least it's not. It's nothing groundbreaking. But
okay.
What if it was instead of Dead Poets Society, it was another thing, like Dead Chemist Society or Dead
right.
Artist Society, or whatever. But so the club that they go and have in the cave is different. It's woodworking or something. Is this anything? So
what you're saying is, it's not poetry. It's the same movie, but it's not Dead Poet Society. It's the Dead Singer-Songwriter Society, if you will.
Yeah.
Right? It's the Dead Baking Society. And everybody's too ashamed to say that they super want to make muffins. So they start baking muffins after hours in the school cafeteria. And then they get caught and they're like, you're not allowed to make muffins. And then the kids are like, oh, muffin, my muffin. I muffin want to make a muffin. Is that what you mean?
Like Dead Baker Society.
Correct. And they're bakers. Or they all want to dance. And they have the secret dance club in the basement of the school. It's called the Dead Dancers.
And the town is illegal, and they're not.
And they're not allowed to do it. What if actually? No. What if the school is in Kevin Bacon Town from Footloose, and it's in the same world?
You can't dance or read poetry. Both of those things are not allowed.
Correct. And you're not allowed to. And they don't interact with the characters from Footloose in any way, but they're just in a prestigious school at the edge of town.
It's a Rosencrantz and Guildenstern where you see some of the scenes from Footloose happening in the background of Dead Poet Society, and some of the things from Dead Poet Society happening in the background of Footloose.
Do you remember when they were all stood on their desks and they were all saying, oh, Captain, my Captain, and in the background you could see that thing where the two tractors were racing together to do a chicken contest to see which one would crash into which, from Footloose?
Yeah.
Hey, do you remember at the end of Footloose when everyone was at that glitter party and they were all dancing and there was a lot of glitter and helium balloons and stuff, and it was awesome? And you could also see in the background Ethan Hawke and a couple of other kids from Hell Spring or whatever the school was called, making chemistry experiments in the background, but they never talked to the Footloose guys.
Mm. Yeah, you remember that bit where they have the house party and the guys getting beaten up at the front, but in the background there's just everyone's having a really good time.
They're having a great time.
Yeah. I mean, what I really like about this, and again, this is like analyzing our podcast a little bit here, but we have certain anchor movies, that like ground us to things that we come back and play upon more often, and it's really satisfying to me that Footloose is one of those, because you didn't like it and I did, and now it's one of the ones we talk about. So
hey, I like Kenny Loggins, I like that song, and I like Kevin Bacon, right?
Yeah.
I didn't like how some town can have its own laws about whether or not dancing is allowed.
I think the difficulty is that much like Footloose, this is a film that is basically good because it's a very well executed version of a thing that's done a lot. So it's difficult to play with. It's not great Play-Doh. It's kind of
it's claggy. It's a bit
kind of claggy, and it's kind of dried out because there's not much room to play because it's done and it's
been done. You could be like, oh, what if it's a bad teacher who turns out to be good at the end? Oh, you mean School of Rock? Oh, what if it's a retired teacher who's a bit a bit like long in the tooth and a bit sort of jaded about life, but he helps Matt Damon be good at math? Oh, you mean Good Will Hunting?
Oh, what if they're working class kids instead of upper class kids? Oh, you mean Dangerous Minds?
Been standing most our lives watching the same movie.
R.I.P. Coolio.
R.I.P. Oh, that's really bad timing. I'm so sorry to Coolio and his family.
Well, no, it's what he would have wanted.
It's what he would. Coolio, who died today, would have wanted us to sing a parody of his. Well, he did like parodies of his song, right? Amish Paradise.
Okay. I didn't realize you were singing Amish Paradise. I thought you were singing the original. But no, it's good. People should know the song "Gangsta's Paradise" by Coolio, R.I.P., was written for the film Dangerous Minds. If you haven't listened to our episode about that,
even Ezekiel thinks that my mind is gone.
And Anders loves Weird Al and will only listen to the Weird Al version.
Then I raise up on tomorrow, raise a nutter, churn and butter, right?
Okay. It's hard to play with. I think that if you take away the poetry from this film, actually, that's an interesting thing to think about. If it was a different society, if it was the Dead Baker Society or the Dead Woodworker Society, you remove the poetry, this film is pretty formulaic. Exactly. Bunch of kids in a very, very conservative school. Oh, this teacher's a bit different. Wow, we like him so much that we're questioning everything. Well, question him. If he did too much, he's getting kicked out. The end. Yeah. Like, what happens? All the kids get expelled? Like, they said we're gonna expel you if you if you don't sit down. They all stood on their desks. Did they kick every kid out of the school?
Now what? You're not a school anymore. Hey, you know, schools are businesses. Private schools are businesses just like every other business, right?
Yeah.
You have an income that you need. I know that you've had like the best SAT scores or whatever, but if you kick all the school kids out, you don't have any money.
Well, it's because they're all grumpy old adults who want to exert power and feel like they have control and status by controlling the lives of youth.
Yeah. All white people problems. That's what this movie is. It's a bunch of old white people problems.
Should we go dead white old white people society?
That's what it is, all right? I'm sorry, but it's a bunch of rich old white people with a bunch of outdated rules, even in the 60s.
Yeah.
Give it a couple of decades and everything will be fine. Once they get to the 80s, everything will be peachy.
You know what this movie needed? Two idiots to walk in and say, just wait, everything will be fine. Just
guys,
wait.
everything's going to be fine. Just chill
out
for a couple of...
God.
They needed Beavis and Butthead to walk in and just go, this is stupid. You're all being stupid.
Yeah.
That or Marty McFly in his DeLorean. Cool.
But in summary, it's a great movie.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's a great
movie. It's not bad.
Please don't not enjoy it because of
pretty
what
good.
I said.
Like whatever you like. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Just like do you.
And definitely don't come and tweet at me or message me and say you were wrong.
Oh, yeah,
And
don't at me.
Stop
Don't at
hating
me.
this movie because I love it.
Also, go home. Stop pounding my door down already. Go get some sleep. You're tired. So am I. We're both tired. Go home. Critic.
If you agree with me, however,
Send me.
message me.
Send me money and praises and roses, you know? In that order.
Send you roses? I completely agreed with your opinion on the movie Dead Poets Society. So here is 12 crisp, fresh red roses.
That would be so nice. Can you imagine? Delivery for you. What is this? Flowers? Just sign here. Who are these from? I don't know. Some fan of your podcast, I guess. For me, because of my good ideas. So validating. Thank you so much. I'm going to cut the stems off, rip the packet of goo, put it in the water, put the roses in the water, and I'm going to, keep them around for a while until they get all smelly.
Yeah.
Thanks, stranger.
You're welcome.
What? Different from you all along.
Yeah, no, I would never send anyone else roses because I like them too much and I want to keep them for myself.
Yep. Understandable. Should we,
Well, I was trying to, and then you did the whole thing that's about.
Sorry, I'm zipping my lips. I'm locking it with a little locket, and I'm throwing away the key. Zip.
On a scale of 1 to 5, Helton hashes. I don't know. There wasn't really much food in this film. I'm sorry.
No.
How much on a scale of 1 to 5 Helton hash? How much Helton hash would you rate this movie?
3.5, I guess. Yeah, that feels good. 3.5, pretty good. A bit preachy. Probably won't watch it again, but I liked it. Fine. Don't like poetry, but I still like it because I like Robin Williams. 3.5. What about you?
4. Probably will watch it again.
Wow.
I like the poetry.
Yeah.
I'd say I have an emotional connection to this film. It affected me.
Yeah, totally. You watch this and I'll go watch Empire Records again,
Yeah. But like you should, and you know what? Hey, I'm taking a stand here. I think you should be able to love things and still criticize them. You should be able to see something's the flaws in something and still like it and choose to appreciate it. And
isn't that what we've learned basically by watching movies from the 80s and 90s, that like the things that we love it may ostensibly have some flaws, but if you like them, you like them.
This is another one of my many ethoses that I have in life. Pick your battles. Pick your battles.
Yeah, totally.
If you want to enjoy this film, go for it. It's not worth it to you to criticize this film, unless you happen to have a film podcast where that's exactly what it is.
And it's just, it's like we you either can have an opinion or can't have an opinion or have a half opinion. Isn't life amazing? You can have half an opinion about stuff. People can be like, what do you think about this thing? And you can
have no opinion. You can just shut up if you want. Just sit there.
Zero.
Just sit in your house and say nothing and keep your opinions to yourself.
Yeah.
For
Or
goodness sake.
spend all of your waking hours writing down your opinions onto index cards and put them into a lockable, fireproof, and waterproof box where one day, years from now, maybe even millennia from now, future humans will unearth this box, pick the lock with future technology, and reveal a treasure trove of your opinions. And they'll use them as part of a greater project, probably funded by the government, to understand this era, whatever era it is you're living in. And what I'd like to say to you is, thank you for chronologically recording your experience on life, and thank you for using the lens of your opinions to help future society understand their own battles with space. I guess probably other aliens. You know. So you need to write down what you thought about this movie, because the fate of the universe may very well be at hand. You know what I mean? Can
I be really honest with you about something?
Sure.
Sometimes you start saying a thing, and I kind of a tiny bit tune out what you're saying, and then I dial back in, and you're like 4,000 miles away from wherever it was you started. Like I'll start, you'll say like, guys. Sometimes you just gotta look at the trash can that's at your feet under your desk, and then something will pop into my head just for a second, and then I'll come back and you'll be like, and that's why space is the final destination for all of us, and humanity. You've gotta consider.
I know. Well, look, it's your loss, because I'm got some top quality stuff going on here. I'll be real. Sometimes my mouth is about 2.5 feet in front of my brain. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm constantly chasing that, constantly trying to catch up.
I'm the other way round. My brain is screaming, and my mouth is saying, "No, keep it in. Say nothing."
Yeah. Best John Cusack movie of the '80s.
Say nothing. Shut up. Stop talking.
Shut your mouth, John, and don't even get me started on Joan. All right?
Shut your mouth,
Shut it,
Joan. And Joan and the 3 other Cusacks, and you know who else needs to shut up? It's us, because it's the end of the podcast.
The end of the episode. It's the end of it. We're over.
We love you. Thanks for coming back.
Yeah.
And we'll see you soon. And thank you very much for listening to this episode of Plot Twisters.
Bye.
You did it wrong.
No, I know. You just ended it so well. I felt like it would be sarcastic for me to say, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts.
Oh, okay. Well, I was concerned. I was like, did we forget how to do it? Did we forget how to do the podcast?
No. This is like riding a bike, you know?
Yeah.
This is like riding a glove. It always fits. We just, sometimes you got to shake it up. Hey, you got to break a few eggs to make an omelet.
You disrupted the flow, and you stood on the desk and you said, I'm not going to say leave us a review on Apple Podcasts because I don't feel that, and that's not my truth right now.
Yeah. Oh, Captain, my captain. I do it.
But that's fine, because I'm going to say it. Please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps us. It helps us get into things like charts, and it helps other people discover our podcast, which is what we want, because we love doing this, and we like it when people like talking about stuff with us. And by talking about, I mean listening to us talk about it, and then sometimes reaching out to us and saying how wrong I am about films. But please do it. Thank you. We will see you next time. You want to say that? You can say it.
We'll see you next time. Bye from the sweaty tooth madman.